Okay, well, hello everyone. My name is Teresa Doherty. I am the coordinator for Business and Information Technology programs here with Virginia Beach Public Schools, and it is my honor to take you through the desktop publishing curriculum for the 2020-2021 school year. So this recording is taking place in August of 2020, and the focus for the desktop publishing overview will be on the virtual learning for this year and changes to the pacing guide, specifically a move to the 4x4 pacing. So that will be the focus. I know that I have said this to some of you before. Most of you who are teaching this desktop publishing class are also teaching the digital application. So there is a much more extensive training recorded under the digital application. So if you're looking for some additional information about how things work in Schoology, I would recommend taking a look at the training, and that is located under the training and updates folder at the very top of the Schoology list under the resources tab. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started by sharing my screen and going over to the Schoology group for desktop publishing. So hopefully that is what you're looking at right now. I'm going to go to the updates. There we go, just so you can kind of see what it looks like. So desktop publishing is a semester course that is typically paired with digital applications, and usually it comes on the back half. So usually digital applications is the first semester, desktop publishing is the second semester, and they are typically paired together so that a student can receive a full credit. This is also one of the few courses that crosses that line into middle school. So we do have folks who teach at the middle school level for high school credit this course, and then also some folks over in the high school arena doing the same thing. The desktop publishing course does not have a certification, an industry certification tied to it. Our semester courses do not offer that. However, I do want to at least share with you a little overview of what this course is. So you may have known it as Design, Multimedia, and Web Technologies, or DMWT, and we do still use the competencies for that course. We just name it desktop publishing here locally. It just makes it a little bit easier, rolls off the tongue, and I think gives a better example of what you're looking at, because most of what you're looking at in this course are desktop applications. So that's kind of what the students are doing. They're looking at different aspects of design software. A lot of our focus is on Microsoft Office, because in the courses that go beyond this, the year-long courses like computer information systems, they offer Microsoft Office credentials, and so typically that's the focus. Having this course offered at the middle school level has presented some challenges, because we do not have business labs at the middle school level necessarily that have a Windows desktop. So the students are often working on Chromebooks, which of course doesn't have a Windows application on it for Microsoft. So anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but just know that's usually why that focus is on there. So mostly it's different design softwares, a little bit of programming, and really it's just kind of to give students a taste of what's out there. So if it's something that they're interested in, you can always encourage them to sign up for one of those year-long courses like computer information systems that will allow them to dig a little bit deeper into the concepts that were covered in this course. So the majority of the time that you'll spend in this Schoology group would be under the resources tab. So at the very top, you're going to see a training and updates tab, and that's where this recording will live after it's been completed. Any other updates I do put up there that are recorded, and basically those are links out to a YouTube channel for any kind of on-demand training that I do for courses under business and information technology. So for as long as this course is in existence, that is where the trainings will live. We are going to spend most of our time in this second folder, this green one that is for virtual learning support, because that really focuses on the changes that took place this year. I do have to apologize for the dog barking. We are in a virtual learning environment right now, and I am working from home, so that means some of my colleagues bark. I apologize. So anyway, we are going to spend the better part of our time there. Excuse me. Now, I would, if this is brand new to you and you haven't ever taught this course before, I would encourage you to go through some of these other folders. I'll tell you, the Front Matter folder, that's got a guide in there that is exactly the same as every other guide for every other course that's offered in the city. So if you've looked at a different Front Matter, you've probably seen the same information for the most part. So you're welcome to tuck in there, but you don't necessarily have to. Where teachers usually spend their time in, I don't even know what normal is anymore, but in a typical year, it would be under this red resources folder. That's kind of where all of this stuff lives in terms of unit plans and resources for each of the units and pacing and all of that stuff. That is typically broken down by unit. You can go back in here and look at this. You can still pull those things for this year. Just know that the pacing is definitely different. And you'll notice like we have things listed in here as Word or PowerPoint, but as we kind of make this shift to incorporate both Microsoft items and Google items, you may find that that you're using some of those Google apps to teach some of these things, and that's okay as well. There's nothing at the state level that tells us it has to be Microsoft. Like I said, our focus just tends to be that because that's where our certifications lie. There's not a Google certification that would be the equivalent of a Microsoft Office Suite certification currently, which is not to say that we wouldn't see that in the future. They do have certifications, just not necessarily ones that we would use for that. So anyway, that's typically where you would be. The competency logs are going to take you straight out to our Verso website, which is where all the competencies for CTE courses statewide are housed. However, the website crashed in the spring of 2020 and they are rebuilding a new website and it's not yet done. So I do have updated competencies for you. However, they are sitting in a PDF document under that green folder for virtual learning this year. Same thing with the workplace readiness skills. I'm going to address that a little bit later. This is typically where you would find it. However, there have been some updates, so I went ahead and put those in the green folder as well. So essentially that's where you're going to spend most of your time here in the fall. The last two things I want to mention before we get into the updates for this year is FBLA, just in case you haven't heard of it before. FBLA stands for Future Business Leaders of America, and it's the designated student organization for business and information technology programs. So in the CTE world, our organizations like this, student organizations, are considered co-curricular rather than extracurricular. So that means they're not considered something that's outside in addition to the what's happening in a class. It's actually a part of what's happening in the class. So the competitions, the things that the students are learning in FBLA are directly aligned with the course material. So the idea is when a student is in FBLA, the work that they're doing in the class is something that they can then go into a competition and use without having to do much above and beyond what they're already learning in the class. And that includes things like those workplace readiness skills. So I would be happy to help talk a little bit more about that with you, help get you started. We've got lots of great folks who have FBLA chapters at their school. I would encourage you to check for the advisor at your location. It should be a business teacher. If they do not have an advisor, you may become an advisor for FBLA at your school for your chapter, and typically there is a stipend attached to that as well. So just speak with your AP about that and they can kind of direct you. Excuse me. Down here in this folder called strategies is where I like to put strategies, sometimes for content, a lot for pedagogy. It's intended to be used as a reference, not as a read through step by step, but really as you are doing your own professional development, maybe you're kind of taking stock of how your classroom is working, or maybe things that aren't working for your kids, and you're looking for something that you can use. There are lots of strategies and things in here to help get you started. And it really runs the gamut of things. So like here, if you're not really sure how, what an essential question looks like, or you're struggling to write those out for your lesson plans, there's a giant list of really good essential questions. And it's just a place to get started. If you're not sure how Bloom's taxonomy is supposed to work, or how that applies to your students in your classroom, this is a place to go. So we've got lots of things like that. In addition, there are some links to our internal website that will kind of give you stockpiles, excuse me, of resources for social emotional learning and culturally responsive practices. So these are things you can click on. If you are going to an internal website, you will need to make sure that you are logged in. So you're either, excuse me, you either need to be on a school site, like at a school site, or you need to make sure that you're logged into your school Google account so that it'll recognize you and you can log in and see those. So, all right, so that's enough of that. Where we're spending most of our time is under this virtual learning support space, and this is to kind of get us started. For the fall of 2020, we have a virtual start to the school year, so so all students will be learning from home to begin, and this is intended to help support that. And because there's still a lot of question marks about how the year is going to go and what health metrics are going to do to face-to-face versus going back to virtual learning at some point possibly. This is intended to just support as much of that as possible. So inside there is a pacing guide, which we'll go over those updated course competencies I'm going to talk about. And then I took some specific online resources that I think are going to be helpful to you for this course. Now, before we get started on that, I did want to share something with you, and I'm going to stop sharing this and I'm going to start sharing this other thing here. Let's see if I can pull it up. I think this might be it. Yeah, let me go. Here we go. So for this school year, we have shifted to a 4x4 learning schedule, which means that these courses that were semester courses have now become 9-week courses, year-long courses have become semester courses. And so they have taken these two classes this year, the digital applications and the desktop publishing, and they have put them together as a single course. They created a new course code, which is 6619. That isn't going to really mean a whole lot to you as far as you are concerned. The competencies have not changed. We're still using digital applications for that component, and we're using desktop publishing competencies for that component. So they'll still kind of be taught as two separate classes. There's no thought to integrating those two things at this time. I just wanted to make you aware in case you were seeing some of those things, and also because we do have that split between high school and middle school. So I know that 4x4 is the intention. I'm not sure how that's going to work with middle school because I haven't seen, you know, what the instructional time is for them, you know, whether or not that's going to be double blocked. So, but anyway, that's kind of what we've been told. So this is how it impacts your changes to your pacing. So they've kind of removed the term semester, and they've replaced it with the word term, and they divided that term into different marking periods. So these marking periods, of course, look very different from what you've seen in years past. And I did upload a copy of this short little PowerPoint into both courses, into the digital apps and also into this desktop publishing under that green virtual learning folder. So if you want to refer back to this, that's where you can find it. This should be the same information that your site is providing to you. It's not something that TCE created, so that information should be out there for you. Okay, let's go back to our Schoology group here. All right, so we should be back in our Schoology group, and the last thing I want to go into is our green virtual learning support folder. And I want to show you this pacing guide. So this is specifically for this new 4x4 design that we're doing. And let me see if I can pull this up. I have all idea that we're going to have to definitely finagle this a little bit as we get through the first semester, I guess, or the first term, however it's being talked about now, just because we're not sure how all of this is going to work. So what you'll notice is that I only have the first 9 weeks laid out right now. As we move through these first few weeks, I will put out an additional one if that's something that's needed, but I wanted to at least focus on the first 9 weeks right now. So the second column here is the topic, which really follows the units basically. So if you went back to that red resources folder, it's pretty much going to line up with that. All I did was shift the timing for a lot of these things. So so that you'll kind of notice is, you know, it's Microsoft Word or Google Docs, you know, that kind of thing. And then in that third column are the resources that would be used. And you'll notice that there are several new resources that are listed over here, and we're going to talk about those in just a moment. The last thing that I wanted to mention briefly is that these competencies, while they do still line up with what you find in that red resources folder, may not line up with the new PDF link that I have for this year's desktop publishing. And that is because of a change that VDOE made where they took all of the workplace readiness, those first 38 competencies, and they've removed them from each of the courses. So now the courses begin with the content competencies rather than those across the board workplace readiness ones. So I may need to go through and work these just a little bit to make sure that those are the correct, the competencies are still there. It's just the numbering that's changed. So that's the part I need to work on. Okay, so that's the 4x4. Inside this green folder here are the competencies and the workplace readiness information. So you'll notice if I click on the competencies, rather than it taking me to the Verso website where there's all kinds of information, it just takes me to this PDF. This is what VDOE has put out currently for competencies. This is a temporary fix as they're building that new website. So I would imagine that we'll see that come here pretty soon. My hope is that we'll see that at some point in the fall of 2020, that'll be back up and running. But in the meantime, this is what you're going to use. So it's the same competencies, the same class, but like I said, they have shifted the competency list. So for those of you who were doing the digital applications, you may have noticed that the task started at 39. And then you'll notice here that the task starts at 001, but they're both content competencies rather than those workplace readiness. This is what's causing the issue with the numbering. So I just need to go back and adjust that. But on the website, usually you would be able to come to a competency and click on it, and below it would kind of explain it in further detail, maybe offer some suggestions for projects or lessons. You're not going to see that in here. It's a PDF. So it's got that basic information, and that's about it. Okay, the other items that are in here are specific to workplace readiness competencies. So it's not that these have gone away, it's just that they have now been removed from the competencies listed for the course because they're in every course. So the idea would be that this is something that's integrated throughout your course and not necessarily offered as a standalone couple of units at the beginning of the class. What you don't want is to cover those workplace readiness topics at the beginning of the course and then never talk about them again. So this way you can kind of weave those in as you are able, and it works a little bit better. At the very top, I put a link to the CTEX website, which really is a starting page for a lot of other resources specific to workplace readiness skills. So there are some learning modules that are right there and some videos and things that are right on that page, but then there are also a lot of different links out there that will take you to, sometimes it takes you to other state workplace readiness skills, things that they've created, resources that they've created that we have access to and can use. So rather than overwhelm you with a whole bunch of stuff, I just wanted to give you that one link. I think it's a great place to start. I think you're gonna find everything that you need in there, and that's about all you need. So these other items that I have in this folder with the little red folders, these are all the resources that I would encourage you to use. I think they're going to be probably the easiest ones. And two things I want to mention. One is this, the class link that you see there in the parentheses. ClassLink is replacing Clever, which was our single sign-on platform, and it does the same things that Clever did, plus a few other things, and you're going to get some training inside your site for that. So your ITS would be a great person to ask about that, maybe your AP, but that is not something that TCE has rolled out. That's something that the division rolled out. So ClassLink will be, that information and training will be coming from your site. Having said that, I do want to let you know that the things that we have listed on Clever, the web portals and the software subscriptions and things that we had put on Clever, I have requested that those also be put on ClassLink. Additionally, I've requested anything new that we've purchased or that we've opted to use in the 2020-2021 school year. I've asked that those also be put on ClassLink. So all of that is still being rolled out at this time in August of 2020. So we should be seeing some movement on that in your as you return to your classrooms. The other thing that I wanted to mention is the virtualization that is taking place. One of the things that TCE and DOT have been working on this summer is virtualizing computers so that everyone who takes this course or takes a TCE course has access to a Windows desktop. We have a lot of software programs that require Windows access. We have a lot of industry certifications that require Windows access. And so that really kind of became a sticking point for us and for the life of our courses, really. So we've been able to work this summer to put together some virtualized Windows desktops that all students who are in our classes will have access to, and that will also be on ClassLink. So the hope is that that's going to make it a really easy design. You'll be able to go and click on it, and it knows you're a teacher, it knows where you're at, it knows you know who your kids are, and it'll just make life that much easier for everyone. So that should be ready to roll out to you as teachers very shortly, and then early in September, mid-September probably, is kind of what we're aiming for rolling that out to the students as well. So the first thing I want to just touch on really quick, because if you've done digital applications, then you know where this change is coming from. EduTyping is a subscription that expired in June. We did not renew it. Instead, we're opting to use typing.com, and that is a free resource for us. Typing.com has essentially everything that EduTyping offers. It's just free for us, and we were able to take the money that we would have used on that subscription, and we purchased a different resource for you that I think you're going to like. So the typing.com, I'm going to go over here really quickly, but I'll give you a chance to go and do this as you choose. It's got all of the same stuff that EduTyping has in terms of you being able to customize tests and check what the status is of your students, keying things and all of that kind of stuff. So it's going to do the same things. Identify the problem keys. It's going to do the same kind of things that EduTyping did with that. You can still create your classes. And then it also has that same kind of curriculum. If you remember, EduTyping also had some of this. So typing.com has those computer and internet basics. I think it's got some stuff on workplace readiness or professionalism. Yep, technology. You can still have your students format documents and things. So there's, like I said, a lot of stuff that's in here. I will let you go through it at your leisure, but I think you're going to like it. I don't think you're going to find that you miss the EduTyping at all. And we're just going to kind of move forward from there. And really that's because that keyboarding component is more of a unit's worth of information, whereas it used to be a semester's worth and a standalone class, and that's just not the way it is anymore. The second one, and this is what we opted to purchase instead of using the renewing the EduTyping, is this e-readiness bundle, and I'm really excited about this. So BE Publishing has been around for a while. They have lots of different resources that they offer for business classes. So everything from like posters and stuff to videos, and they used to have like CDs of information, learning how to do spreadsheets and Word documents and stuff, and textbooks and things. So anyway, they have been doing some updating, and what they rolled out this month in August of 2020 is this new e-readiness website. So they used to have a companion website, and now what they've done is they've bundled all of their titles, so all the different things that you could possibly purchase, and they've put it all in under one website where as many teachers can go in there as they want, as many students, they can have as many students as they want. They can download however many things they want. They've got access to instructor resources, and they have it for every single title that BE Publishing offers. And it's all for a single subscription to a single website. And I thought that was well worth the trade-off to go in there. And the cool part is, they've got all of these different titles, which is why I think it's good for both digital applications and desktop publishing. And in fact, I've opened that up to a lot of different parts or classes in business and information technology because of the wide variety of subjects that it includes. So you can take a peek in here. It does have both the Google Apps and the Microsoft Office. It's got stuff on business communications, and it even has a desktop publishing. So I would encourage you to take a look at that. This has been ordered. We're just waiting for the subscription to be fulfilled, and that should be any day now. In the meantime, though, because we are still in the month of August, you can take advantage of this test drive of the e-readiness bundle. And I did put the link down here for you guys to take a peek at or to register through. It will basically give you the same access to the same stuff as when you have your actual subscription, and let you kind of download things and take a look. And I think that would be perfect to play around with before school gets started. See if there's some stuff in there you want to use. And once we get our information, our license and everything, I'll take all of this out and I'll replace it with our license information. That way you'll have that as we move forward. The other thing I just wanted to point out, I uploaded this into both that the little PowerPoint I was telling you about. That's what this is down here. Just so you know, it's also in that green folder. So that's pretty much everything that I want to cover with you here today. I'm certainly excited to have you all on board. I hope you have a wonderful year. If you find you've got questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. That's what I'm here for. So I will hopefully see you guys soon.